What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you have had a very happy St. Patrick's Day. Hopefully you were wearing green. Hopefully you did not get pinched. And hopefully you somehow were not disappointed by the Dallas Cowboys in day 2 of free agency. Today is Thursday, March 17th, 2022. Of course, St. Patrick's Day. Just so you know, for full context, putting this together a little after 6 p.m. Central Time, so it's possible that something could happen. And as we always say, if something happens, we will have you covered here on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. Please make sure you do subscribe. We have a lot of fun things coming your way as free agency continues to roll on. All of the action, and of course the NFL draft in about 6 weeks' time. But day 2 of official free agency is just about in the books. At least the working hours are now officially over. And the Cowboys have had a couple of things that are worth discussing, but of course not a lot, and that is upsetting some people. We'll start with the most obvious thing. This is something that had, the writing was on the wall. It was really obvious this was going to happen. And on Thursday, the shoe finally dropped. The Dallas Cowboys officially released offensive tackle La'el Collins, who they signed as an undrafted free agent in 2015. We all remember what happened with La'el and why he went undrafted. In a vacuum, I get this from the Cowboys. I know everybody's lining up to kill the Cowboys for every single move. I know I'm certainly in that line when it comes to most things. I understand the Cowboys not trusting La'el Collins. We all know, again, showed up to camp out of shape in 2020, missed the entire season, showed up for the season this past year, played the first game, season opener, boom, suspended for 5 games. So he's somebody who this staff doesn't feel like they can trust. I can understand that. I can get that. And I think you should too. I think we should, take a step back and consider the way the staff and the front office must feel about certain things. And so it makes sense that they would not trust La'el Collins. Okay, we agree with that. But it also makes sense to think about what makes you a better football team. Now, do you put up with somebody who you don't trust in the name of being a better team? Sometimes, right? If it's worth it, and maybe they no longer feel that it is worth it when it comes to La'el Collins. But ultimately, it seems that's how Dallas feels. They've been talking for a little bit over a week at this point about how a release was likely. If they weren't going to be able to trade him, then it was a trade is unlikely. It's most likely a release is coming. And on Thursday, again, it finally did happen. The release is expected to be a post-June 1st cut. It will alleviate $10 million in salary cap space for the Cowboys, but again, as he is a post-June 1st cut, that will not happen until post-June 1st. You can see on our banner, we don't have any graphics because, surprise, the Cowboys have not really done anything, but La'el is already set to visit with the Cincinnati Bengals, the AFC champions, while they did make it to the Super Bowl, have a big need along the offensive line. Joe Burrow needs to be protected. We've already seen the Bengals pour some resources into their offensive line so far in free agency. It was really predictable that La'el would be sought after by them, and so who would have thought? He is a good player that a good team would be interested in. But we'll see if La'el Collins winds up with Cincinnati. For what it's worth, the Dallas Cowboys do host the Bengals in 2022 at AT&T Stadium. So if he signs there, Dallas will see him in a few months' time. But moving on, one player out for the Dallas Cowboys, and again, some cap savings on the way, that precious salary cap that we know the Cowboys love so much. But they did bring back one player. We've already talked about several players who the Cowboys have brought back. Obviously, Dalton Schultz was given the franchise tag. Michael Gallup signed a new deal with the Cowboys. We've talked about Jake McQuaid, Noah Brown, Malik Hooker, and on Thursday, Dorance Armstrong joined that list. The Dallas Cowboys, of course, missed out on Randy Gregory. We talked about that at great length. It's been quite the week. But the Cowboys bringing back their 2018 4th-round pick, Dorance Armstrong. Has been a nice player for the Cowboys. We've seen him, kind of evolve. Had 5 sacks this past season, a career high for him. Had a really strong preseason period, and we were all really excited about him. And so this is, fine. 2-year, $13 million deal. I don't have a huge issue with this. Some people think it's rich, but, it's okay. The problem with this, and this has nothing to do with Dorance Armstrong, is this cannot be the plan. This cannot be what you're doing opposite of DeMarcus Lawrence. Now, Thursday brought with it an interesting twist in free agency. Zadarius Smith, who on Wednesday agreed to terms with his old team, the Baltimore Ravens, is actually not headed to Baltimore. Zadarius Smith, technically a free agent at the time of this recording again, so maybe he winds up as the top option for the Cowboys opposite of DeMarcus Lawrence, with Dorance Armstrong as more of a rotational piece. If that is your platoon of pass rushers, with Micah Parsons obviously in that mix, Chauncey Golston, whatever happens in the draft in about 6 weeks, well, then we can kind of subscribe to that. But right now, it's, again, very happy for Dorance Armstrong, a solid player. The Cowboys need players like Dorance Armstrong, but this cannot be the plan, and that is the main thing that we are trying to get across. But Dorance Armstrong, again, joins the list of people returning to the Cowboys. I've said the word again several times, so my goal for the rest of this video is to not say the word again anymore. That was the last one. All right. Moving on, the Dallas Cowboys have another player who they want to bring back. In fact, he is probably the player that all of you, every single Cowboys fan, has highest on their list. I have said that I am not as in love with this idea as other people are because of what it represents. It really has nothing to do with the player, but that's a different conversation to be had. Ultimately, it would be a good thing if the Dallas Cowboys brought Jayron Kearse back. Jayron, of course, a value signing by the Cowboys a year ago, one of those signings we rolled our eyes at, but they were right. They saw something. Dan Quinn was right, and they turned Jayron Kearse into a very serviceable safety for them. So, okay, bring him back. Let's do this again. Let's run this whole thing back, right? Obviously, if the price is right, is the motto of America's team. And at least at this time, at almost 30 p.m. Central Standard Time on Thursday, Dallas, according to the Dallas Morning News, isn't close to anything with Jayron Kearse. I know I'm avoiding that one word, but this is that same, right? Like this is the company line at this point. The Cowboys make an offer. It's way too low. The player scoffs at them. The Cowboys are shocked that players on the open market want more money than they're willing to give them. And then the Cowboys decide to move on and find a different value signing. They'll find this year's version of Jayron Kearse. And my point with Jayron all along is that he is proof of concept to them. And this has nothing to do with Jayron specifically. But Jayron Kearse to the Cowboys represents the idea that they can do this, that they are very good at this, that this is the right way to roll, that going after value signings can constantly yield great results season after season after season after season. And it happened last year. Good for you, Dallas Cowboys. Respect. You were right. But the odds of that happening again, let alone, there's the word, whatever. Anyway, the odds of that happening again 2 years in a row are extremely low. They're extremely slim. So you have to prepare for that. And we haven't seen the Cowboys exactly do that. I know Tyrann Mathieu out on the open market. I know in your heart of hearts you want to believe, but that's probably not going to happen. Either way, at the moment, Cowboys, Jayron Kearse, seemingly far apart when it comes to contract negotiations. It turns out if you want to keep players around, you got to pay them money. It's a lesson the Cowboys have yet to understand, at least over the course of the last decade or so. We don't have any fancy graphics for you today. I told you on Wednesday that we only do that when we have something new, and shocker, we still have no external free agent signed by the Dallas Cowboys. Still. I know what some of you are thinking. RJ, haters, trust. All right, it's still early in free agency. The Cowboys can still go get somebody. There's lots of values out there. There's lots of big name guys. Y'all are just panicking. Y'all just want to see a move to see a move. We are not panicking. We are of the mindset that we have seen this approach, the same approach the Cowboys are taking that they have taken year after year after year after year, where they sit this wave out, they sit the next wave out, and they re-sign their own guys, and then they go after these value signings, right? That's their approach. We've seen this playbook over and over and over and over again, and it is not good enough. And that's not to live in these platitudes like we talked about on Wednesday that, oh, you haven't won a Super Bowl since 1995. No, this is not good enough. Your roster is weaker right now than it was when the season ended, and it already wasn't good enough then. This offense is really struggling. Now you are officially down 3 starters from last season, at least last season's opener, and Connor Williams at left guard, Lyle Collins at right tackle, and Amari Cooper at wide receiver. Your defense is missing a top edge rusher on the opposite side of DeMarcus Lawrence. You had the situation with Randy Gregory. You didn't land Von Miller. You didn't land Chandler Jones. Yes, Zadarius Smith is still technically out there. You brought back some depth in Dorance Armstrong, but you have to make a move. You cannot address all of these positions in the draft. Yes, you can draft these positions. You can draft players that you like, but the odds of having high levels of success and high levels of impact from rookies right away are so even more slim than the odds we just talked about a moment ago. And that's where, look, I love Micah Parsons, but Micah is proof of concept to that in their mind. The Cowboys seem to think that they can just draft 5 Micah Parsones this year at different positions and get that kind of impact. Micah Parsons is the exception. That does not happen all the time. That doesn't even happen, in a common sense. And so the Cowboys seem to be smelling themselves a little bit and seem to be thinking that they can do this, that they're right, that everybody else is wrong, that the way everybody else in the NFL is handling business. You look at the Los Angeles Rams, who have less salary cap space than the Dallas Cowboys, mind you. They brought in Allen Robinson on Thursday. Why? Because they want more. The way we talked about the Buffalo Bills acquiring Von Miller on Wednesday, the Los Angeles Rams know, like we talked about, you have to do it all over again. You cannot just rest on your laurels. And the Cowboys, who were not even the best team in the NFL last year, are resting on their laurels to a degree, and they are putting an insane amount of pressure on themselves when it comes to the draft to hit home run after home run after home run. And is that possible? Sure, it exists in the world of possibilities, but it is unlikely. And so day 2 of free agency is just about in the books. The sun is about to set. I mean, still a little bit of sunlight here, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over again. We will see what Friday brings. Will the Dallas Cowboys get on the board with an external free agent? Time will tell. My name is RJ Ochoa. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at RJ Ochoa. My DMs are open. If you have any comments, questions, points of criticism, hopefully constructive, you can hit me up there. You can also hit me up in our comment section down below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If email is more your speed, rj.ochoa@sbnation.com is where I can be found. We're going to make it. We're going to survive. I promise, somehow, some way. So happy St. Patrick's Day to you. Hope it went well. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.